Okay, so I was talking to one of my fellow pros this morning and we were chatting about technology and how it's changed the face of golf and so on and so forth. The reality is golf with or without technology is still a tough game to learn. The other thing is that the club still does exactly the same thing to the golf ball that it did 500 years ago and is going to do in 1,000 years from now. But what technology does allow us to do is really put values on things. It's, if you like, a retrospective data or view of things that are happening that we knew were happening anyway. So if you were or are an experienced golf instructor that's taught at various levels, you could be teaching an elite player and know that they've got a powerful swing, but now you may be able to confirm that it's 125 miles an hour instead of 100 miles an hour. You might notice when you're teaching somebody by the size of the divots or the noise off the mat that their angle of attack is very steep. So you might know from a technical point of view now that, say, for a 7-iron, tour average is 4.3 degrees, where you just knew they were hitting down a lot on it before. Now, how useful is that? Like a lot of things, is how really you present that data. The data itself or the technology itself will never give the golf lesson. So whether it's a biomechanical vest or a force plate or an app for your putting or anything like that, it is the instructor's experience, if you like, that already senses what that player's doing wrong, and it just allows us to communicate, much in the way video did. When I had my first video camera, which was like the size of a bathtub in 1979, I used to carry out on the range. That was one way of me showing folk, listen, this is what you think you're doing, but this is what you're really doing. So what you feel you're doing and what's actually happening are different things. The same would apply to a modern launch monitor and so on, and certainly from a fitting of golf clubs and so on, it's invaluable, because no man on earth could tell you what the ball is spinning at. You might know it's spinning a lot, but all of a sudden we know it's spinning at 2,500 revs instead of 3,000 with the driver or whatever. So we're able to actually optimize or choose the right spin rate for you. I had a pro in the other day and I knew he was a little bit flippy at impact. I know he picks the ball. So with a bit of technology, I was able to show him that his shaft wasn't leaning forward enough at impact, and we got more shaft lean on it, which I knew anyway, and he immediately hit it better. But the technology, shall we say, allowed me to communicate that idea better. But I think from the student's point of view, you've got to be really careful, because everybody goes on YouTube these days and reads about club fitting, reads about lessons, or watches videos and so on, and maybe foolishly or naively thinks that if you go on a monitor or do something like that, it's actually immediately going to make you better or solve all your problems. It's not really. What it's going to do is give you some information that then the pro and you can use appropriately to put your technique right. So no technology, an X-ray machine, will not make you any better. It just allows the consultant to make a more informed decision and allows the consultant to help you better and prescribe, if you like, the right remedy. So that is what technology does these days, whether it's an app on your phone, whether it's a launch monitor, whether it's a body track thing or a force plate or so on. It allows us to say, well, number one, I told you so, I told you we're doing this. Listen, there's the values, this is what's happening. Right, how can we set about putting it right? You're still going to need some drills. You're still going to need to understand the changes you need to make to improve what you're doing. What you can then do, of course, is then measure them further down the line and actually see a genuine improvement, because you've actually got the data to do it. But the biggest factor for Jack Nicklaus, Nick Faldo, Tiger Woods, before any of these guys had technology in their life was, well, what is the ball doing? You know, the biggest number you're interested in golf, and the number I'm interested in for all my students, is getting them hitting it less often. That's the big number. Hit it less often, you're going to win and play tournaments and play your best golf. The other stuff is important, but it still doesn't offer or totally give you the solution. You still, as Hogan said, the secret's in the dirt. You're still going to have to do a bit of graft. You're still going to have to understand it. Yes, you can measure it. Yes, you can view it. But there is still a human responsibility, if you like, to learn to feel the golf swing yourself, learn to interpret what the ball flight's telling you, occasionally measure it and so on. But you know, the job, the responsibility still lies with you and the instructor to help you produce those best swings more often. So technology is great, used appropriately, used at the right time, in the right amounts. That's going to help you become a better player. I hope you found that video useful and helpful. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. Also, give us a like on Facebook. If you'd like to get in touch with me or book a lesson, you can visit me at solidgolf.co.uk, and I look forward to helping you playing more solid golf.